Street raised, I was brought up where the G stayed. Peep game, those who didn't catch one to your brain. Stay in your lane, never wolfed it, boy, I never fake. Watch them break, watch them fall, still I remain. Never change, never try to come and rearrange. Never hate, never tripping on somebody's plate. That shit is lame, leave that type of shit for the dames. The streets don't play, oh catch up, watch your life escapes. One game, homie, that you shouldn't play. There's real soldiers in the streets gunning every day. This shit is normal in the vital part of every day. It ain't great, but I'm loyal, so I'll never change. I keep repeating, but I mean it, never lose your way. Heed the warning and the missing just for talking brave. Fuck my enemies, two faces and all the snakes. Now for this matter, just name the time and name the place. We'll get it active, fuck the gap, and I'm in face to face. Real gangsters never fold, then we never shake. I was brought up to.
You are now watching M.O.D. Entertainment.
Life. Now, as we continue the countdown of all East Side neighborhoods, I think we shall start with the oldest, probably the oldest neighborhood on the list. You know what I mean? When it comes to East Side neighborhoods, if not on this list, probably in general when it comes to the East Side. But for this one, we actually have to maneuver our way to the area that is known as Lincoln Heights. Yes, Lincoln Heights is the area where we're able to find one of these East Side neighborhoods. Old school barrio, so old school that this barrio was there before Lincoln Heights was even called Lincoln Heights. You know what I mean? Which is known as the barrio ESC. ESC translating to barrio East Side Clover. Now, East Side Clover, obviously named after Clover Street. You know, the barrio before it was called Clover Heights because of all the clovers that were there. The shamrocks, you know, the lucky 4-leaf clovers. And when this area was first starting, you had a lot of Irish families that migrated there, you know, and, you know, settled down right there in that area. So when this neighborhood first started, you had a lot of, you know, different ethnicities. You had Irish, Italian, Russian, you know, raza. So it was a mixture of different groups, you know. And this group banded together, you know, to protect themselves from the Americans who, you know, would pick on them because they were, you know, illegal immigrants or not from this country. So they banded together to protect themselves, you know, Jewish, Irish, you know, different ethnicities. But, you know, since the area in itself was mostly Irish that settled there, it was, you know, it had a lot of Irish in it. When this neighborhood first started, right there on the 600 block of Clover Street. You know, and as time went, you know, more Mexicans started getting in, you know, these families started moving out, and little by little started becoming more of a, you know, Hispanic neighborhood, you know, with the times going. You know, and now in this time, you know, it's mostly Hispanics, you know, but still obviously have Irish and all that in their barrio. You know, and this neighborhood started around 1910, you know, roughly around there, 1910, 1915. So we're talking about an old barrio, bro. You know what I mean? With many cliques, you know, Chicos to the cut downs to the tiny jokers to the 19th streets to the 28th streets, you know, several cliques. And, you know, they're in the hundreds, obviously, because they've been around for so long that, you know, and they have a massive territory, you know, right there throughout what's considered the east side of Lincoln Heights. This was considered their territory, but obviously, you know, like 1928th Street, all of that being their heart of the hood, their main domain. They do use the color green, but obviously they're homeboys, and they continue to represent right there for the East Side Clover. Now, to find the next neighborhood on the list, the next East Side neighborhood, we actually have to be maneuvering our way to the area of Long Beach. Now, the area of Long Beach is home to one of these infamous, you know, East Side neighborhoods. Obviously, you know, the Long Beach area, you know, being considered home of the Lone Gold gangs, you know, but there's several other gangs, you know, Varrios, Pobre, and so on and so on. But it's also known as Crip City. You know what I mean? So you do have a lot of Crips within this area. You know what I mean? That's why it's called Crip City, because they don't have no bloods. And the tensions between homeboys and blacks is not all that great right there between Crips and Hispanic, you know, neighborhoods. So therefore, a lot of the neighborhoods that are here that are homeboy neighborhoods adopted the red rag, you know, the red bandana, because of obviously they feud with the Crips. So, you know, some of the barrios right here, you know, like Barrio Pobre, Longo, 9th Street, whatever, they adapted the red bandanas, you know, because the opposition, you know, wears blue. But the East Side Longo is a very notorious neighborhood with members up to about 900 members to them. You can find them throughout the MacArthur Park area of Long Beach, the area, not MacArthur Park, you know, in West LA, but the MacArthur Park right here in Long Beach, the area that is known as MacArthur Park. You can find them, stretched out throughout that whole entire area. Mostly though on 14th Street. 14th Street is the heart of their hood, their main domain. That is their dojo, bro. That is where they get it on and cracking. And although people could say what they want, oh, it's a racist neighborhood, and they, they hate blacks and wooty wooty wah. They, they do have some racist, members to them, but they are not a racist gang because they have black members. As you can see right here from the photos, they do have black members in their neighborhood, and not just one or two, but several, as you can tell from the pictures. Um, but like I said, they're up to 900 members, so they are, one of, the largest gang, if not the largest gang in Long Beach. It could be, debated between the Insanes or the Rolling 20s or the East Side Longo. Now, there is different Longos, North Side, West Side. They're all united, but they're their own individual gangs. You know what I mean? With individual cliques, like, like the East Side Longo, who has the 14th Street. They have the Playboys, but who are separate from not the PBS. These are PBZ. And this is just a clique, so they have no connections to each other. And then Dogtown Stoners, which is different from the other Dogtown, so don't get them confused. And different, and then there's Barrio Viejo, who used to be its own gang, but then clicked up with the Longo neighborhood, so then becoming a part of the East Side Longo neighborhood. You get what I'm saying? But like I said, that's how they grew in numbers so large, but this neighborhood continued to still represent right there and hold it down for the East Side Longueros. Now, to find the next neighborhood on the list, another East Side neighborhood, we actually have to be maneuvering our way to the very notorious area that is known as Wilmington. You already know, harbor area. Bro, Wilmington is an area that is definitely notorious, gang infested, full of a lot of crimes, not just with Hispanic gangs, but with black gangs as well. You know what I mean? This area, it goes down in Wilmington, homie. And in Wilmington, there is several Hispanic neighborhoods that use the Wilmington title, but they're their own individual gangs, right? As a matter of fact, they don't even get along with each other. You have the West Side Wilmas, you have the North Side Wilmas, and you have the East Side Wilmas. So the East Side Wilmas being the larger of the three, this neighborhood dates back to the 1950s with up to 700 members to them. So we're talking about a large, well-known, dominant neighborhood within, East Side Wilmas. And East Side Wilmas is known to wear the red bandana, and West Side Wilmas uses the blue bandana. And West Side Wilmas and East Side Wilmas don't get along. They're arch nemesis, they're rivals. Shit goes down, bro. You know what I mean? Even though they claim the same city, it's been, heavy beef. It should be cracking in this area. Wilmington is definitely not playing. The bloodshed and the animosity is real. Now, the East Side Wilmas, is it being such a large neighborhood, it has several cliques. One of their main, cliques that you hear about, and the heart of their hood, their domain, their dojo, is on L Street. L Street Maniacs, L Street. But then you also have, High 8th Street locals, you have the Mahar locals, and then you have, the other well-known clique of theirs, because the territory is so massive on the east side of Wilmington, because, they're literally just, split by, one boulevard, but it's the Ghost Town locals. The Ghost Town locals are located in the Donna Strand projects, right there in Wilmington. And the projects, that's where you're able to find their Ghost Town locals clique, which is another large, dominant, clique of the East Side Wilmington gang. And I know there is several other Ghost Town, local neighborhoods, but this is separate. This is just a clique to the East Side Wilmas. In the Dana Strain projects, it goes down right there. You have, blood gangs right there, which they have to share the projects with, I think it's the East Side Pain Bloods or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it should be cracking right there in Wilmington, homie. You know what I mean? They do feud with, Crip gangs that are located right there with the West Side Wilmas. Like I said, it should be going down right here. But the Wilmington neighborhood has been holding it down since the 50s and continues to still rep it. Now, to find the next neighborhood on the list that is an East Side neighborhood, we actually, continuing right here in the harbor area. The harbor area is just full of a lot of neighborhoods that use the East Side title to it. You know what I mean? Like I said, the harbor area definitely cracks, as a shitload of gangs. But now we have to maneuver our way to the area of Torrance. What? Torrance? Yeah, Torrance got neighborhoods, bro. What you thinking? And one of them being an East Side neighborhood, which is known as the Varrio East Side Torrance. Barrio East Side Torrance is a, well-known, well-notorious neighborhood right here within, Torrance. One of the first neighborhoods that pops into mind when you think about this area, next to La Rana, you know what I mean? Because there's several gangs, in the East Side Torrance, well, in the city of Torrance, you have, 204th Street, you have La Rana, Tortilla Flats, Central Torres. So you have several neighborhoods, you know what I mean? But one of the more recognizable and dominant one is the EST or BST. BST standing for Barrio East Side Torrance or East Side Torrance or just, however you see it written, because I know 18 also writes it BST, for Barrio 18th Street, so don't get them confused, and then when you just see it up EST, but they tend to write ESXT to separate it, you know what I mean? And it's one of the more larger neighborhoods, well known. Now their territory consists of everything that's Western Avenue to 223rd Street, 223rd Street to Normandy, Normandy to 228th. Everything in the middle and around the Normandy skate park is considered their dojo, their barrio, you know what I mean? And throughout Plaza de Amo, that is what's known as the East Side Torrance neighborhood. That's where it goes down. That's where it gets on and cracking. And this is also the neighborhood of the famous rapper Seven, from Hella 5. This is the barrio in which he puts it down for in his music. You can go check it out right here on YouTube. Very talented individual. I definitely recommend his music. And the East Side Torrance neighborhood is in a few hundred members to them. Like I said, with several cliques, that put it down for theirs. Their generational cliques. That's how they get down in their program, and they do use the Panthers colors. The baby blue with the black, because the panther is their logo, their mascot. You know what I mean? That's why you see it in their graffiti, their tattoos, and stuff like that. So the baby blue and black is considered their color. They use the Carolina Panthers. And yeah, the Eastside Torrance is still holding it down right here, putting it down for theirs. Now, to find the next barrio on the list, we actually have to make our ways now to the SGV. It's the San Gabriel Valley. The SGV, homie, is definitely home to several neighborhoods. And one of them being an East Side neighborhood. Now, I covered this neighborhood several times, so I'm briefly, gonna go through it, which is the barrio ESBP, which stands for East Side Bolen Parque. Now, East Side Bolen Parque is an East Side neighborhood because it is attached to their name. It's not just Bolen Parque, it's East Side Bolen Park because there is a North Side Bolen Park and they don't get along. East Side Bolen Park and North Side Bolen Park, nemesis, rivals. It goes down. So obviously you're gonna see it in their graffiti and their tattoos and everything like that. So it is known as East Side Bolen Park, not just Bolen Parque. You know what I mean? It's important you add the East Side to it. You know what I mean? They want to get them confused. And the East Side Bolen Parque is everything that's their territory, is everything that's from Ramona Boulevard. Ramona Boulevard, their territory, extends all the way to Pointe Avenue. Pointe Avenue, their territory still goes because it's a massive territory of theirs. Still goes all the way to back to where the freeway's at, to the 605. So everything that's throughout Fraser Street, Baldwin Park Boulevard, to Merced. All of that is what's considered, all the way to Pacific as well, is considered the East Side Bolen Parque, with hundreds of members to them. Like I said, these neighborhoods right here, they get large, so you can't judge an area just based on the way it looks. They get it on and cracking. And the East Side Bolen Parque is known to be a green ragging neighborhood. They use the green bandana, but they are homeboys, and they still keep putting it down right here. And they also have rappers, from the hood. You can go check out Rask, who raps. He definitely is a talented individual. You can check out his music right here on YouTube. But yeah, the East Side Bolen Parque is definitely a barrio that's putting it down right here for the HGV and holding it down for theirs. Now, to find the next barrio on the list, we have to maintain ourselves still in the SGV, but now heading towards a different location of the SGV. You know what I mean? We will be making our way towards the Pointe area. You know what I mean? The area is actually known as South San Jose Hills. Is actually the name of the area, which is home to one of these East Side neighborhoods, which is known as the ESD. ESD, not to be confused with another ESD that we'll be covering. This is known as the East Side Dukes. No connection to the East LA Dukes. And the East Side Dukes is a neighborhood that's been well established right here since the 70s, that they've been established right here in the SGV in this area. And their territory is everything that consists, like I said, of the South San Jose Hills, which is everything that's from Gano Street all the way to Reynaud Street, all the way to uh, Nogales Street, all the way back to Valley Boulevard and back around. So everything that's in the middle is considered their barrio. Throughout Altorino Street, by the Sunshine Park, all the back streets of the Sunshine Park, throughout that area, it's considered their barrio. Like I said, don't judge an area just based on the way it looks. It definitely gets on and cracking right here. You know what I mean? They do tend to feud with the Pointe gang, who's just right there, and then you also have Townsmen right there. So you have several neighborhoods right here in this area, Black as well, because you do also have the West Side Hustler Cribs right there. So it gets definitely on and cracking. And they do are known to wear the Duke's apparel, the University Duke, because obviously it's in their name. And yes, this neighborhood is a few hundred members to them, so they're not, as big as like maybe Pointe was in the thousands. But don't get it twisted, homie. They still handle business and they still represent right there for the East Side Dukes. Now, to find the next neighborhood on the list, we have to still maintain ourselves here in the SGV, but now heading towards a different location. We'll be now making our way to the area that is known as Duarte. Now, Duarte is definitely an area that gets on and cracking, you know what I mean? A well known area within the SGV that is definitely known to crack, you know what I mean? And this is home to the other ESD, or you could see it up as DES. So either one is appropriate because I have seen it, written both ways and tattooed both ways, So it could be referred as Duarte East Side or East Side Duarte, you know what I mean? And like I said, you could find them throughout, almost all of, the city of Duarte, you know what I mean? Because this is a large neighborhood, in the hundreds, and our old school Varrios already been right here for a cool minute, homie, you know what I mean? These guys ain't playing, dog, They definitely get it on and cracking. And this neighborhood is located in several different spots, you know what I mean? Because they have territory on both ends of the freeway, both ends of the 210. So you can find them throughout Huntington Drive and Buena Vista Street. Buena Vista Street, like I said, to where the freeway's at, all the way to Las Lomas Road. That is where you're able to find them, holding it down on that side, almost by the Otis Gordon Sports Park. And on the opposite end of the freeway, you're able to find them. Their territory is pretty massive over there, but it consists of where Duarte Road is at, all the way to Mountain Avenue, and back around, throughout Buena Vista, and all that. But their main domain is on Duarte and Broadwood Street. That is the heart of their hood, their main domain, their dojo, where it gets on and cracking. You know what I mean? And they do tend to feud, with the Crips, the Do-Rock Crips, because they're just right there. So there's definitely heavy animosity between both groups. But nonetheless, the, Eastside Duarte neighborhood has been right here and continue to still represent for theirs and holding it down and still putting theirs on the map.